Are you a dedicated Linux user, but that sometimes needs Windows for apps that just don't work on Linux, like for school? Then this video is a solution for you. So what I'm gonna do is actually something pretty straightforward and easy. It's something anyone can do. You can even do it at home. It might not be the most conventional option, but I will show the pros and cons later on, or maybe I already showed them. But basically, in short, what I will be doing, if I can get this open, is it's as simple as this. So basically, instead of dual boot, I suppose recording me here, I'm just gonna cut you guys the app. It's basically instead of dual booting, this is a method you can use, and you save money if you have spare parts. And use a NVMe 2230 and connect it with Thunderbolt. It's gonna be fast and small. And also, I have Fedora installed on this drive, which I gotta delete. That's basically it. Now, what are the pros to doing it this way? Well, you can run Windows apps natively, but you can do this with dual booting too, right? But here's the best part. If you have spare parts, this is being done at no cost compared to getting a bigger internal drive if you currently have one that's too small for dual booting. And also, OSs don't fight each other like they would do with dual booting. And you can also finally play online games, such as League of Legends. Now for the cons, it's really just this. As for the cons, there really is just two major ones, which is the speed, but the speed really shouldn't be an issue, especially with USB 3. After the Windows is installed, it should be a lot quicker, maybe the setup is slow. And also another problem is the aesthetics, because you have to carry around a whole drive with you. So the way this works is I'm going to take this off, and I'm just going to put this drive in. So the first thing I'm going to do obviously is just shut down the PC, so I don't have to bother with going to the... I'm just gonna fully shut it down. An important thing to mention though is that I have secure boot disabled because on Fedora Linux it allows me to have hibernation mode activated. So I do recommend having it on for Windows for your own security, of course. So do this at your own risk, or just re-enable it if you have disabled. I'm personally gonna keep it on. Now here's where I came across my first issue. I basically thought it was all rainbows and sunshines, and I just made a Windows USB install, and I connected my external drive and just hoped to install it normally. But the Windows installer does not actually let you install on external drives by default, so I actually have to do something else after that. So the way to bypass this is to actually use one way to bypass it, just use Rufus. And in Rufus, actually quite simple. You're basically just supposed to select your ISO, which I'll switch right now. So actually my drive did not appear until I pressed list USB hard drive, so I'm just gonna select that. And there we go, my drive is right there, my external drive. So here's what I gotta do on Rufus. Basically, to make this work, you cannot use standard Windows installation and then connect the external drive to your laptop or PC or whatever configuration is, and install Windows like that. Because by default, like I said before, the Windows installer does not want you to install on anything other than an internal drive. So on image options, we're gonna select Windows to go, and we're just gonna, well, I'm gonna select 8,192 bytes because it's slightly quicker. This shouldn't matter too much, but yeah, we're literally just gonna press start, and you gotta pick your version here. So I always use Windows 11 Pro for all my systems. Now for these options, you can pick whatever you want. I personally pick these four because it makes my install a lot quicker, and I also do not want an online Microsoft account because Microsoft kind of made Windows 11 very bloated, especially when you have an online account. So I just like avoiding that mess completely, and I just disable online accounts as a whole and create a local account by default. But you can play around this however you like. I personally just like these four, but if you know you're gonna use your Microsoft account for school, for example, I would not select these two. Or maybe I would remove this one, but I reuse these options. So I'm gonna press OK, and make sure all your data is backed up because right now you're gonna format your drive completely. And this process should actually might actually take you quite some time, so you're gonna have to be patient with it, but we'll come back to it, I guess. The drive is not ready, and I'll unplug it from my main PC and connect to my laptop, and we'll go from there. I initially was not gonna voice over on this, but it took so absurdly long that I'm just gonna speed it up and tell you guys what I did. I just went into the boot menu, selected my hard drive, then installed Windows on, and just let it go. From here, I'm just gonna install the drivers for my laptop, and then I'm gonna do the ultimate test, which is literally just installing OneNote and seeing if all my pen features work. Because they don't work on OneNote on Linux, because Linux does not natively have OneNote. I debloated Windows using Chris Titus' script, so I'll leave the link to his script GitHub page in the description. Alright, so let's go. So I guess I'll try to literally write anything. First, let's test the pressure. So writing is kind of garbage, but I'm literally just trying to see if it works or not. So obviously the pressure is working because the more I put pressure, the more dark it gets. So it's nice to see. Now, one thing you should do after installing Windows completely is to set a boot order that makes it so that whenever USB is plugged in, it boots into your USB, and whenever the USB is not in, it boots into whatever you had on your internal SSD, which in my case is Fedora. But what I just said heavily relies on what your laptop allows you to do. On my laptop, my ThinkPad, they do let me do that, and that's exactly what I did. Now, two major issues I encountered is that when rebooting into Windows sometimes, after using Linux, it might give you this troubleshoot screen, but all you have to do to fix it, for me personally at least, is just have to force shut down the PC and reopen it with the USB still plugged in, and it worked perfectly fine. And the other issue is that I set a battery limit on Fedora, and after I installed the battery drivers on Windows, it broke. So what I found worked for me personally is to reset the battery limit on Windows and on Fedora, but make sure it's the same battery limit. Now you might be asking yourself, do I really want to bring this around with me? It's not really aesthetically pleasing and it takes up some space. And the thing is, this is really just convenient when you're like sitting down on a table with quite a bit of space. But realistically, when you're at school, do you really want to like connect this? Especially in class. So the best solution would be to use a M.2 2230 with a USB-C adapter. But that's actually the nice thing about this whole project is that you're doing it using spare parts, right? So you save money and you don't have to get a bigger drive to dual boot on your main SSD, like inside of your laptop. So that's actually what makes this whole thing even worth it. Now, I have thought about some stupid ideas, like maybe using Velcro tape and putting some on your laptop's shell, and also putting the other side of the tape on the drive itself. Which again, it's not really aesthetically pleasing, but at least it's not like dangling on your table, so it's not that bad. It is quite bad.